Plaquemines Parish Council meeting to order at 4 p.m. Machines open for roll call. Let the record show 8 council members are present. Mr. Black's absent.
Number 2, executive session. 2A, executive session pursuant to LRS 42:17A10 to receive attorney-client privileged information related to William Hall III versus the Plaquemines Parish, the Parish of Plaquemines, also referred to as the Plaquemines Parish Government Case Number 63-150, 25th JDC for the State of Louisiana, Division B. Councilmember Konovich.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Blink. Vote on executive session. Let the record show passes 8-0. Going into the executive session at 4:01. Let the record show we come back from executive session at 4:24 p.m. Ms. Morcott?
We're moving to item 11A2, introduction of resolutions where suspension is being sought. A resolution authorizing settlement authority to the parish attorney and for him to do all things necessary and proper to enter into a settlement negotiations with William Hall III versus the Parish of Plaquemines, also referred to as the Plaquemines Parish Government Case Number 63-150, 25th Judicial Court of the State of Louisiana, Division B, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Blink. This is on suspension. Machines are open. It passes 8-0.
A resolution authorizing settlement authority to the parish attorney and for him to do all things necessary and proper to enter into a settlement negotiations with William Hall III versus the Parish of Plaquemines, also referred to as the Plaquemines Parish Government Case Number 63-150, 25th Judicial Court for the State of Louisiana, Division B, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer, ask for a second. Second by Mr. Alborough. Any comments? Administration, audience, machines are open. And it passes 8-0. Wait till after the president update now? Yes.
Item 3, proclamations. There are none. Number 4, status report by the parish president.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just a quick update. COVID numbers now, positive cases in Plaquemines Parish are 1875. Our positivity rate as of June 9th, we hadn't got one since last week. It's been 2 weeks, but it was 0.9%. So 0.9%. Death toll is still 27. We're still offering vaccines at the health department, Plaquemines Health Department, Plaquemines Pharmacy, Delta Drugs, Plaquemines Medical Center, and Plaquemines Primary Care. So the Will to Skill Cohort 4, Venture Global will start it. The Will to Skill Cohort 4 pilot program. This upcoming session will be focusing on increasing CDL training skills and certification for parish residents. Residents interested must attend only one informational session. Mandatory information sessions are set for Thursday, July 1st. Thursday, July 1st at 9:11 at the Plaquemines Parish Government Multi-Purpose Center, or Thursday, July 1st, 6 to 8 p.m. at the Plaquemines Parish Learning Center. The Louisiana SPCA will be hosting a $5 vaccine clinic Sunday, January 27th from 9 to noon. The Louisiana SPCA will be giving the pets their core vaccines, microchips if needed, and rabies tags for only $5. Plus, there will be free ID tags food pantry assistance, registration for parish assisted evacuation, spay and neutered assistance, and tons of other helpful information. So, Mr. Chairman, that is my report. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions from the council? Audience, have any comments?
Oh, Mr. President, on that global venture deal, are they gonna state that in the local paper or?
It should be.
It should be, I will check and make sure it is on our website, and our social media posts, but I will make sure it's included in the paper.
It's something positive, you know, something positive.
You got it?
Thank you. Ms. Marcotte, can we go to I and J?
Sir. 9I, a resolution granting conditional approval for a plan of subdivision of River Chase Properties LLC, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, lots 11 through 20 into lots 11A, 13A, 15A, 17A, and 19A, Square 50, Bell Chase Town Site by Bryant Hammond and Associates, certified by Hugh McCurdy III, PLS, dated October 12, 2020, revised May 5, 2021, without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines.
Dr. Gui offers and Mr. Alborough seconds.
Yes, this is going through the departments. We have approval because the water service is available on these lots, and a conditional approval in that the developer needs to install a new sewer line in accordance with our plan, with our specifications. I know we have people in the audience to speak, but I'll open it up to any questions from the council.
Mr. Roussel?
Yeah, this is where they're combining smaller lots to bigger lots, taking 25-foot lots and making 50-foot lots.
Mr. Roussel, yeah, Charles Ballet live in Bell Chase. It's from 30-foot lots to 60-foot lots. It's part of the old Bell Chase town site. It's the oldest subdivision, I think, in Plaquemines Parish. It was created around 1950 by Hodge and Hunt and Hero people way back. And it's to make the lots better use. And we did the same thing on the last block, and this is the second block. And it's to make them, combine them to 30 to 60-foot lots, and they're 60 by 145, I think. And this approval is so that we can do that, and we'll put a sewer line down the middle, as we did in the last block. It's just a continuation of that.
And the water line there is adequate for the
The
fire
water
hydrant?
line is there. The last block, the water line was shown in all plans, everything we had, and then we find out that it's not on the backside on East First Street, after the fact. But here it is. It's on East First and on Main on both streets. It is there. We're also going to put a subsurface drainage along Main Street as well. That's going to go and tie into the existing drainage that comes out subsurface on J Street, whatever other streets are there. That's part of the work to be done.
Finish.
That's all I have.
Anybody else from the council? Administration? Audience? Machines open. It passes 8-0.
9J, an ordinance to amend the 2021 Criminal Court Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Criminal Court Department, and the 2021 General Fund Operating Revenue Budget, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I offer.
Mr. Alborough offers, there's a second.
Second.
Second by Dr. Gui. Mr. Alborough?
Yes, Councilmember Black asked me to move on this on his behalf, and Mr. Ballet is here to discuss it with us, and also Judge Clement.
Gui.
Thank you once again, council members, and thank you for taking me up at this time. I appreciate that. I sent out a letter to, in fact, it's a joint letter from Judge Connor, Judge Clement, and myself. May 24th, we sent y'all a letter, and basically outlining how the criminal court fund monies are substantially low, way down, mostly due to COVID, and also our economy, I think both as well. And we need to make sure we have funds in there because it really is part of the core expenses of the criminal system, the criminal justice system. And it's to pay for interpreters, it pays for our mental health evaluation, people for the ads for jurors to come and serve. It pays for a lot of those expenses. And as y'all know, at the end of the year, whatever's left in that fund goes to the half of whatever's left, that is, goes to the parish government. And that's been done forever. But the funds have been going down a lot through the years. And we just feel like we should be safe and get some dollars in the account in case, because we are picking up with jury's duty and with work we're doing in the offices. And so it's proceeding. But just to tell you that it went from years ago from monies of about 400,000 down to I think it was 57,000, and expenses were averaging lately around 150 or so. So it's a problem. It would be short that we see, and that's why we ask them when we calculated the expenses we think would be short. I think it's $92,000 that should be in there mentioned, and that's what we're asking for. And as I said, it goes in the criminal court fund. It can only be spent on motion by me and an order by the judges. And the parish government handles the funds, handles the disbursement of those funds. And at the end of the year, like I said, half of whatever's left by statute, by law, goes to the parish government's general fund. And that's the way it's always operated. There's no personnel paid out of it, no salaries, no monies to any individuals, other than the people that we have to pay, the experts, like mental health evaluators, interpreters, and those kind of people. And that's what it's about.
Thank you. Ms. Newberry?
Yes, Mr. Ballet. So I just want to understand, all this is in one pot between you and the two judges, correct?
I'm sorry?
This is in one fund but for y'all to share between you and the two judges, is that correct, for criminal court, okay?
Correct.
Okay. So I want to ask you, are y'all already in a deficit, or you think this is enough to cover for the whole year? I just want an analysis from you on what we're looking at from what y'all have now in the budget, and will this cover the whole year? You're going to have to come back to us for more money?
At the end of last year, I want to say the amount was 115,000, and 57,000 was paid to the round numbers. 57,000 was paid to the parish government. So we started at the beginning of this year with 57,000 in it. And like I said, expenses, I'd say probably averaged 2.25, something like that over the years. I don't expect them to be an average. I think it's still going to be below because we've had COVID part of this year in a sense, and it still affects a lot of our operation. And so it's not going to be as high as expenses that I see. But the idea is to make sure that we have funds available to do what we need to do. And so, we don't have to come and bother you or do anything again. And as I said, it's all in a fund that's handled by parish government, 1, and 2, at the end of the year, whatever's there, it goes right back to you anyway.
Thank you, I yield.
Thank you. Any other questions from the council, administration, or audience? Machines are open. That passes 8-0. Go back to the agenda, Ms. Marcotte.
Yes, sir. Item 4A, update by charter directors.
Ms. Newberry?
Ms. Taylor. So I was glad to see in your report that the library got a grant from the American Rescue Plan Act for $47,064.84. So, and I see that covers, that will pay for early literacy and tablets for all branches. So how do we get this information out to the public?
This information about the grant, we can have Jade put it on the website and on our social media pages.
Yeah, that would be nice. Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, one thing that I wanted to try to get some clarification on is the work requests that are pending for Prody Drive, Clawson Road, and Cedar Drive. We had this discussion at the last meeting about the outfall canal that runs from Walker Road all the way to the base and through the base. I continually get more complaints about trees being in the canal and ditches, and therefore all of the servitudes are backing up. Are we making any progress on that?
I'm on. Yes, we moved the long boom backhoe there this morning. It was at Pump Station 2. We were working on the pump. We moved it there this morning. and Prody Drive was dug, and the landowner is installing the pipe.
So we should be seeing some relief.
That's Augusta Canals where we're moving the long boom to.
Right, so the constituents should be seeing some relief there. And I saw on the report also the Fort St. Leon Drainage Project, maybe by June.
Yeah, so we were supposed to have the final submittal by June 18th. I got with the consultant this week. They did not have it ready. I did receive this afternoon a cost estimate for that project, and we should have final submittals early next week in order to move forward with that project.
Okay, and the water plant intake, it just says that it's producing more water, still waiting on a Corps of Engineer permit?
Yes, we still do not have the Corps of Engineers permit for the raw water intake. We are moving all the information to a different consultant, one that deals with the Corps on this information regularly, and we hope to have that done here in the next couple of weeks.
By moving that to another consultant, that's going to cost us additional funds?
Yes, it will.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the council? Audience? Make your comments to us. Yeah, make comments to us. You can't ask questions of the administration.
Oh, okay. Well, what I could do it to follow up on Councilman Roussel, when he was asking the question about getting equipment and stuff. The East Bank Shore, and I know Mr. Ptolemy, the East Bank Shore could use some help with equipment because we got trees growing in ditches like never had before on the back highway. So whatever thing that they're doing for the Air Force Base, we hope that they do the same thing for the East Bank.
On the way down, I saw that they had the long boom over here by the pump station, and they had been digging the canal, so it looks like you already got the piece of equipment over here.
Thank you. Any other questions?
That boom is for the drainage canal that they're doing along Highway 39. I know y'all don't want to hear me. The purpose of the boom was down there was digging along Highway 39, cleaning it out so the water can gravitate from Phoenix down to David, and from David to Point LaHatch, and from Bohemian to Point LaHatch to get the water. Because remember, when we had all that water before, the water couldn't get out. And also the pump station was caused part of the problem because it was only at 50% capacity. But just as Reverend Edwards stated, the problem is the ditches along the front Highway 15 and 39. Those, what we call the main ditches that are draining the highways, are the ones that need to be really cleaned expeditiously. And we're just not getting them done.
Thank you. Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, Mr. Roussel. Where do we stand on getting those lights marked that's out on Highway 23?
Hopefully next week or the week after. We've been running late with the storm and the weather, sir. But we'll try to get somebody scheduled at night to drive and mark the lights.
Okay. Last year I asked about getting the ditches along Highway 23 spread. Now I know it's hard for us to keep up with cutting that grass, but now it's been brought to my attention that those big ditches from, say, like from Freeman down south, now they are holding alligators. Saturday, they remove a 10.5-foot alligator. Is it possible for us to get those ditches sprayed? And if we would get them sprayed, that Roundup killed for about 6 weeks. So it give you about 2 months. Give you about 2 months. And I know we don't have the manpower or the equipment to keep up with those ditches. But if you spray them, that'll give you 2 months, you know. But anyway, I had a phone call from a gentleman by the name of Mr. Johnson. He lived right on the side of Slater Pit in Port Sulphur. Those alligators. And when you get out your automobile, you can hear them grunting. You hear them. They are really there. So if we can get those ditches sprayed, that would help us tremendously. Some of the residents are missing some of their pets, you know. So I appreciate it if we can get it sprayed. That'll help us out. That'll help you out.
We'll work on that, sir. And I sent Miss Trudy a text a while ago. We removed the 10-foot alligator in the middle of the neutral ground this morning. So they are out all over the place.
Yeah.
They are roaming. It's that time of the year. So
Yeah, you know, and Port Sulphur is a problem. And Diamond, that would be sauce pecan. Thank you.
all right.
Mr. LaFrance, I will make sure that we look into that. Get those ditches sprayed.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Yeah, I sure can relate to the alligators, because we have one in the David Pool. He's swimming. Can't get out, but he got in. So, but that's being worked on right as we speak. The other thing I want to like to accent is about the lights. I personally went and got some tape and taped every light on the northern end and all the way down to Point LaHash. I did it myself. It took me 3 days, 3 nights. Drove my truck up all the way up to the highway, and all I had to do was put the little tag on and put the tape around there and fix it. Still ain't done.
I did the same thing. Now they changing out the telephone poles and taking my tapes.
So, I mean, you know, we trying to do everything we asked to do.
Mr. Blink?
The response from the entity was so slow, you know, they just dried off, right out. Like, I'm not gonna do it again.
Mr. Blink?
Certainly, Mr. Roussel, during the last rain event, I went personally, visited some pumping stations, and there's, the water is having a lot of trouble making it to the pumps, where you've got yards that are flooded, but the ditches are just plugged up, to the point where the drainage canal will be pumped down to nothing, where the banks will start caving in, but the water just can't get back there to the pumps, and it's definitely a problem. Some of those ditches, you know, I have work requests in for them. Some of them have 14-inch willow trees. I'm willing and able to point you in the right direction on which ones could, with the minimum amount of work, could alleviate a burden on the most amount of people. Yeah. There is some low-hanging fruit out there where we could knock out a lot of folks with just minimal effort.
On that, I tried talking with Robert Morgan. He had a machine by the reservoir in Venice, and they cut everything, willow trees and all. He's got it all cleaned up around there, trying to get who it was. Maybe we could get them to get some ditches with the willow trees and all in it.
We can certainly follow up with that company and see if we can't get them to do some work for us.
Thank you.
Another comment about street signs. After Zeta last year, a lot of street signs are askew. When I have the opportunity, I just screw them straight to the power poles. You know, I've talked with Entergy. They seem cool with it as long as it's not interfering with their equipment. It's just one less thing that the tractors have to knock over, bend blades, ruin gearboxes on. It eliminates just high grass coming, sprouting out from around the bottom of the street signs. And, I understand that there might be grant monies coming for restriping Highway 11 and new street signs. And if you could maybe just take that into consideration when y'all are placing those new street signs, it might be just alleviate future burdens by actually putting them on the telephone poles. They usually don't fall over with a little gust of wind.
Richie, what I understand, the grant is coming from DOTD, so the striping is going to be available. The signs that they're going to put up are speed limit signs, stop signs, but on down lanes, I don't think they're going to put up signs. But that will give us some leeway that maybe we don't have to put that sign up, and then maybe put some signs. Probably the whole pole is not there since you're nailing it to the telephone pole, right, or the electricity pole. So, look, we'll try, I know you put work requests in, our sign department's very slim. But,
Certainly. And I'm willing to.
If we
help
can
with
maybe
that, too.
get you the signs,
Yeah, that works.
and maybe you can get them dispersed.
Also, boxes is galvanized lag bolts to actually bolt, screw
Right.
them into the pole, where it's not just a nail. That's helpful. One other thing, there is a lift station right across from Daybrook Fisheries. The whole lift station is about to fall into, I'm guessing, some kind of hole that's been created, and there's now a dip in LA 11. It may need some attention.
Is that our lift station or theirs?
No, that's the sewerage system.
That was reported to us today.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
We're taking a look at it.
Excellent. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Ms. Marcotte?
Yes, sir. Next item is 5, bids and advertisements. There are none. Number 6, beer and liquor licenses.
Cue in if you have any. Mr. Roussel?
Yes, I have a renewal for Suds Tavern on Barrier Road. The owner is Big Drink LLC, 106 East Barrier Road. This is for a liquor Class A 10 license.
That's the only one you got? Mr. Alborough?
Yes, I have one for 190 Octane Retail LLC for New Orleans Original Daiquiris at 8102 Highway 23 in Belle Chase.
That's it?
That's it.
Mr. LaFrance?
Yes, I have one for Gregory Ingraham, Ironton Park, the Party Boys. It's Ultimate Cookout on the 7th to 10th, 2021.
Do I have an offer? Offer by Mr. Roussel, I'll second. Any questions? Machine's open.
Dr. Gui? Verbal yes from Dr. Gui.
Let the record show passes 8-0. On the building permits. 1 and 4 deferred. I need 6 by itself.
Item 2 is being deferred at the request of Councilmember Brissell.
What about 3, Mr. LaFrance?
Deferred.
Number 5, Gerald Romagera, application number 2021-471 dated May 24th, 2021. Install earth anchors to approximately 50 feet of existing bulkhead to help strengthen 710 Martin Lane, lot number 152, Port Sulphur. Councilmember LaFrance.
So LaFrance, you offer. There's a second by Mr. Blink. Any questions? Machines are open. It passes 8-0.
Number 6, Martin Energy, application number 2021-530 dated June 14, 2021. Excavate a borrow ditch and use material to build ring levee at an existing well site. Install land-based drilling rig and drill the Uncolade well number 1 Empire Oil and Gas Field. Councilmember Blink.
Mr. Blink offers. There a second? Second. Second by Mr. LaFrance. Any questions? Machines are open. It passes 7 with 1 abstention.
Number 8, introduction of ordinances and resolutions. There are a few. For Councilmember Konovich, an ordinance amending the Library Services Fund 2021 operating revenue and expenditure budgets and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2021 Boat Harbors and Shipyards Fund operating expenditure budget, Boat Harbors, Venice Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund operating expenditure budget, Legal Services Department for settlement of case number 63-150, 25th JDC Division B, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Blink, an ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Roussel, an ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund operating expenditure budget, buildings, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Arborough, a resolution in support of resuming federal offshore leasing in the Gulf of Mexico and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. For Councilmember Bartholomew, an ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund operating expenditure budget, flood control, general department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the introductions.
Thank you.
Item 9A1, an ordinance authorizing Plaquemines Parish government's president to enter into transactions with the LA DOTD for sale of property rights and grants of servitude for state project number H.004791 FAP number H.004791 LA 23 Bell Chase Bridge and Tunnel Route LA 23 and LA 3017 Plaquemines and Jefferson Parish and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer as for a second. Second by Mr. Alborough. Want to just,
You got LB?
Hello? Oh, sorry. This is essentially an ordinance. As you know, when we expropriate property, we have to make good faith offers to folks. This is similar. The state, this is for the bridge project. We own property that they need for the bridge. They're making a good faith offer to us. This is an ordinance for us to accept this. I will tell you that if you all don't accept it, you know, they're going to go to court, expropriate, and we'll likely get the same amount. So I understand that this is a sensitive subject for everyone. This is the bridge. You know, we're not happy about it, but, you know, if you guys deny this, I think we're just going to be, you know, we're just prolonging the inevitable. The other thing you all should know on the agenda today are is a resolution for us to review several agreements with DOTD. One of those agreements is the water line relocation, which was previously sent to us by DOTD. The parish president and I kind of pushed back on it. Of course, I get calls from DOTD lawyers who are basically saying, look, when you all put these utility lines, these water lines in our servitude, part of the permit was the agreement that should construction ever happen on these facilities, you know, you would be responsible for the relocation. So, so they've agreed to put up $1.4 million for that. They don't legally have to, but they are. One of the issues in that agreement that I was uncomfortable with is that there was a not to exceed amount. In speaking with the DOTD attorney, they've agreed to remove that language so that should it cost more, that there would be an opportunity to get more from DOTD. So, you know, you all did not vote to sue on the bridge. I understand this probably isn't a popular political decision for you all to make. As the attorney, I'm trying to negotiate in good faith with DOTD, and it kind of is what it is. So the bridge is going to affect some of our utilities, some of our facilities, and to the extent that it does, we just need to deal with that and move forward. So that's my opinion on the matter, and that's what we're here for. Any other specific legal questions about the expropriation? I think LV drafted this. He may be able to answer some questions, but that's the nuts and bolts of it.
but when the water line was put in, it's on the tunnel or the bridge?
All I know is that the water line is in, and I wish Ken was here, unfortunately he's out, but all I know is that the water lines are on DOTD state right-of-ways. And so when those permits were issued for them to be put in the DOTD right-of-way, part of the condition of that permit is, as I explained earlier, should they ever need to be relocated, that the entity, meaning us, would be responsible for it. So I can't. I'm not an engineer. I don't know where all the utility lines are and where they are. I can just tell you, you know, what I know from the agreements.
being that it was on our bridge or our tunnel, it wasn't DOTD's right of way.
Yeah, at the time, I don't know when transfers happened, but I can tell you that I've seen the permits where at that point in time, when those utility lines were put in, the state owned that property, or at least it was a state right of way. So, that's all I can tell you.
Did they take ownership of the tunnel and the bridge?
Everything I've seen, yes, it's a state, yeah, otherwise.
We paid for them, so.
So it's.
I mean, the state has always owned the bridge and the tunnel. I mean, I understand the parish did put up a lot of money back then, but they are state highways, state bridge, and state right of way.
Mr. Blank?
Sure. I mean, I just have so many questions about this. Every time I see police out there directing traffic, I'm wondering where is Plenary's private police force? Every time I go over there and I see the grass high, I wonder, why do we have to look at that? All the things that the citizens come and ask us, I still have questions about, and I'm going to happily vote no on this.
Mr. Roussel?
Look, any concerns you have about Plenary and the operations of the bridge, my recommendation would be to contact them. I think under the law, you could probably subpoena them to come if they refuse to come, and I think so, right? And have them explain themselves. So, I understand there's frustrations about perhaps the work site and Plenary, and understand you're going to vote no on this, but I just want us to
And
separate those issues from these other issues that we have to work out.
Thank y'all for trying to just not give it to them right away, right off the bat. And I just really wish my colleagues up here would have did the right thing. Yield.
Mr. Roussel?
Yeah, my comments were that this could have been negotiated if we could have gotten back to the table with the lawsuit. This is an item that we could have thrown on the table, so I can't in good faith vote for this.
Any other questions? Audience? Make your comments to us.
Donald Valley, Walker Road. Commissioners, you have an opportunity to get to court, roundabout. I know you all didn't vote unanimously on that, but at one time you all did support. You didn't want the bridge and you didn't want the toll. And now we got to go back to the table. I think you have an opportunity now to get back into negotiations with the state, DOTD, about being reciprocate some money back for the bridge, renegotiate the term with Plenary, that it's not a 30-year, $700 million deal. It can be buyout somewhere along the line. There's infrastructure money coming from Biden. I think somebody needs to sit down with Plenary again and with DOTD. But Plenary is not the problem here. They were the recipient and the benefit of this. DOTD is the problem, the state. And if you hold up and you don't vote for this and they sue you, great, let's get to court. Let's bring up all the issues in court and see where we go.
Thank you. Any other comments? Machines are open. Mr. Ptolemy? And it fails 3 yes, 5 no.
No lawsuit.
Nine A2, an ordinance to authorize the private sale for restricted use of 650.11 acres of surplus Plaquemines Parish lands in Plaquemines Parish and otherwise provide with respect thereto. Mr. Chairman, we do have changes on this legislation.
You want to offer it? Or make?
Yes.
Okay,
You was up there.
let me,
Remove it. Cancel it.
Wait.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
do you want me to read the changes?
Well, first, let me say that Councilman Black was not able to be here today due to his work, and that we had a conversation this morning, and we discussed on how to move forward on this. So you can move forward the changes, and then I'll elaborate on it.
Okay, the changes are in the, on line 1, the amount of acreage is changed from 650.11 acres to 649.11. We're inserting a paragraph, whereas since the adoption of ordinance number 18-65, the survey and description of the surplus property proposed for private sale has been amended to show a total of 649.11 acres per the attached amended survey and property description. On line 15, we're changing it from 650.11 acres to 649.11 acres of a fair market value of $5,000 per acre per appraisal report dated June 6, 2021. On line 28, we're changing the acreage from 650.11 to 649.11. On line 29, we're inserting the dollar amount of $5,000. On line 42, we're changing the acreage from 650.11 to 649.11. And on line 43, inserting the dollar amount of $5,000 per acre. On line 56, we're removing the language that says, as authorized pursuant to ordinance numbers blank and blank. Under section 1, line 8, we're changing the acreage from 650.11 to 649.11. We're removing the phrase Exhibit A and is described in Exhibit B to ordinance number 18-65. We're inserting the language, the attached survey and as described in the attached property's description. Under section 2, we're changing the acreage on line 16 from 650.11 to 649.11, removing the language shown in Exhibit A and is described in Exhibit B to ordinance number 18-65, and we're inserting the language shown in the attached survey and property description. And then I'll read at A and removing the word minimum. The fair market value, we're inserting the dollar amount of $5,000. Mr. Chairman, that concludes the changes.
Thank you. Mr. Roussel, you offer?
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I offer with those changes and ask for a second.
Mr. Roussel offers and Mr. Blank seconds. Mr. Roussel?
Yes, this is a project that's been in the works for many, many years. What this does is it takes the 649 acres located off of F. Edward Hebert Boulevard behind the parish complex and puts it into a conservatorship to where it will be forever green. This is the Woodlands Trail, Woodlands Conservancy project, which I'm very proud that we are moving in this direction. You know, normally we're up here putting acreage into homes and subdivisions and concrete. Well, what this will do is, and if you look at the logo, this is the sponge. We call it the sponge. We have Ms. Katie Bradstead, who's the executive director of Woodlands here. And this will be something that many, many years down the road, Plaquemines Parish can be very proud of, to look at the foresight that this government has to put this in the green space. Just like those people look at City Park or Audubon Park, they have green space there. This is going to be a green space for Plaquemines Parish. And I'm really pleased to be here today to be able to vote on this. Councilman Black picked this up when he came in, and he's been working on it diligently. And he's not here today, so I wanted to recognize him for his efforts over the last few years to make this work forward because it's in his district. I've stepped back since he came in the district, but as things happen, I'm here today to be able to offer it with a smile and be able to say that this is a good thing. And I'm hoping that the people realize what value jewel this will be in the future. And Ms. Bradstead, if you'd like to say something.
Mr. Blank?
Certainly. So I'm a former board member of the Woodlands Conservancy, and it's a really great facility that provides a lot of educational opportunities, and as Mr. Roussel just really absorbs a lot of stormwater before it ends up in our drainage system, which costs us money to pump over the levees. Right. Katie, please.
Thank you, and I'm really excited that you're addressing this today, and I'm glad that it's able to move forward, and that Benny was Richie was a board member. Benny was a founding board member of the organization. every administration and council has supported this project since it was first presented to this council 20 years ago in this courthouse. So I really appreciate that we're moving forward. Richie's right. That land is capable of absorbing 32 million gallons of water. So it really is a step forward, I think, for Plaquemines Parish and showing that they protect their green space and their wetland areas. So thank you all very much for considering this today.
Thank you.
And to a little bit elaborate where the funding is coming from, the funding comes from LASCO, is that correct?
Can you give us your name and address for the record?
I'm Katie Braystead, and I'm with Woodlands Conservancy, the executive director. The funding is coming from, the project was submitted years ago. I approached the parish president at the time and said that we've been there for so many years and that we could submit it to the state as a damage assessment restoration project, so that at the time, if it came up as being able to be funded, you know, of course, it's the parish's prerogative to either, you know, go with it or not. But this project is currently being funded by an oil spill that was in the river in 2008.
Thank you.
So.
Any other questions?
LV, I see you rise. You want to say something? I mean, I hadn't seen you in so long. I'd be glad to hear you.
You didn't recognize me without.
That's correct. But I recognize you sitting on them puppies.
L.V. Cooley, Special Assistant Parish Attorney. I just wanted to add that the funding is coming from the shipping company, a barge company that was responsible for the spill. And they're working out the arrangements to fund. They're going to contract with Woodlands Conservancy first. And then when that's done, then the actual sale and the signing of the act of donation of servitude will occur simultaneously. So we're waiting for that to happen. So they need this authorization for private sale to happen. And we've also got a related item on 9E that you'll be asked to act on, which is to provide servitudes of access, because there's no current access to this site. And they need a servitude of ingress and egress plus some minimal parking, and that's addressed in item 9E. So if you have any questions with respect to that, I'll be here to answer that.
Well, if this passes, I'll move to 9E next. I'll ask the chairman, please do that.
I'll just say one more thing to further clarify, because so that you all know. Do you remember the 2008 oil spill that was in Gretna? So that's what's funding this acquisition. So just to give you an idea of how long processes take, that was in 2008. So anyway, just to give you more information.
13 years.
Pardon?
13 years.
Right.
But it is a great thing, you know, to be able to take something as tragic as an oil spill and turn it into something that's going to be green and beneficial to the community for many, many years.
And it's really exciting that it's all on that property, because it puts us in a position to get more funding. We've had funding over the years from other Clean Water Act violations to do projects on that property, and it's nice to have a contiguous piece of property that can, in the future, also receive restoration funds from other sources.
Mr. Blank?
Sure. Yeah, I just encourage folks to get out to the site. There's about 8 miles or so of trails. There's some World War II bunkers at the end of the trails. It's a great opportunity for hiking and birding, walking your dog, that kind of thing. And also, it presents a really great opportunity for a contiguous network of trails to be located through Belle Chase. It seems that both the parks and Cypress have trails that are part of them. And in theory, a network of trails could go all the way to the Belle Chase Bridge itself if the right planning were to take place, which would present a lot of recreational opportunities for folks, bike riding, walking, social opportunities, that kind of thing. Could be a really good thing. All right, yield.
Thank you.
Yeah, I just want to say congratulations. I'm glad, because I remember years ago, My sister been at this a very long time, and
Can you state your name and?
Reverend Tyrone Edwards, 112 Thomas Lane, downtown Phoenix, on the best bank of the river, the East Bank. You know, I got to take advantage of those opportunities. And we have brought our children from Plaquemine Parish, the East Bank, over to work with them. They came over here on the East Bank, help our children plant trees that we still have and doing. So I'm just excited. And I'm just sorry that Mr. Black is not here, because I'm glad to see there's some redeeming quality, and I wanted to comment him on. So please pass that message on to him. Tell him, he got wings. Tell him I'll just give him some wings and a halo. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Rob Forshey, Plaquemines Parish Informative Hot Topics. I want to send the same sentiments to Mr. Black. I appreciate the man bringing this and staying on this. This is truly one of the good things that that Bo has done for this parish, and I will definitely acknowledge that that I'm proud of him for staying on this, and I do wish he was here so I could look him dead in the eye and tell him thank you. So I just wanted to tell him on camera. Appreciate it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Arthur Henry Belchase. Listen, did I hear correctly? This was $5,000 an acre or $5,000 for all 649 acres?
$5,000 per acre.
Per acre.
Per appraisal done just recently, at the appraised value. 3.2 million if you're trying to do the calculation.
That's what I'm getting at. How much?
Approximately 3.2 million if you're trying to do the math.
Hey, the gift of the people, but the people, it was done correctly, in the open. That's where everything should be here. And it benefiting the people. It's benefiting the people. It's a good deal.
Mr. Henry, Ms. Bradstead has been at this for a long time. Like she said, we were at this many, many years ago, and ever since then, we've been having this as a goal. So this is a goal that's over 18 years old, whatever it is. And Ms. Bradstead's been persistent in this. And, as it is today, it's coming to fruition. So it is good for the people.
I remember it. It's a good deal. But hey, when we do it with figures, let the people know what the figure is.
3.2 million, Mr. Henry.
Yeah, just keep it in the open. That's all.
Thanks.
It's a good deal, miss. And you've been doing it for a long time, and the people gonna appreciate it.
There's no more questions. Machine's open. Passes 8-0.
Chairman, at this time, I'd like to move to item E, if possible.
That's Marquette 9E.
Yes, sir. In ordinance to repeal ordinance number 18-66, declaring surplus and granting servitudes to purchaser of 651 acres of surplus land and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And Mr. Chairman, we do have changes on this legislation as well.
Yes, ma'am.
The changes are line 2 of the preamble. We're changing 650 acres to 649.11 acres. On line 9, we have, after the ordinance number 18-65, it says the word and then there's a blank with 21 dash. We're removing the two blanks. On the next line down, line 10, we're changing 650.11 acres to 649.11 acres, as well as on line 12. And on line 15, we're changing it as well from 650.11 to 649.11 and adding the word acre after it. And then on line 20, for the blank, fill in the blank, it'll be 12,040.00 per appraisal report dated June 6, 2021. On line 32, we're changing it from 650.11 acres to 649.11. And then on line 35, we're inserting the dollar amount of $12,040.
And Mr. Chairman, I'll offer with those changes.
Mr. Roussel offers a second. I'll second. Machines are open. Passes 8-0.
Thank you all.
Nine A3, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of lot JJ-2, Section 31, T20S, R29E, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Triumph, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots JJ-2A and JJ-2B, Section 21, T20S, R29E, Southeastern District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Triumph, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, is shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated March 15, 2021. The owner having fulfilled all the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the parish of Plaquemines without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
I'll second.
Second by Mr. Blink. Any questions? Administration, audience, machines open. That passes 8-0.
9A4, an ordinance to amend and amended to readopt Section 4 of Ordinance Number 142, the Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance of Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as amended, and the Comprehensive Zoning District Map, therein adapted by reference, and which is paragraph thereto with reference to application number 2021-460, dated March 29, 2021.
Mr. Roussel, you offer?
I'll offer. Next for a second.
I'll second.
Who did that? Mr. Blink, second. Any comments from the council?
The item was submitted to the zoning board. Recommendation was made to move forward with this, changing to conform with the front of the property from A2 to I2, which the front is I2, the back is A2.
Mr. Gooley? Any other questions? Administration, audience, machines open. Passes 8-0.
9B, a resolution to establish a one-year moratorium prohibiting the receipt of any permit application and...
Deferred.
9C, a resolution authorizing the parish president to enter into memorandums of understanding and agreements with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development related to the Belle Chase Bridge and Tunnel Project and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer, ask for a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. Alborough.
These are the agreements I referred to in our earlier discussion. Essentially, DOTD is asking us to enter into a couple agreements with them related to the project. The biggest one I previously discussed was the relocation of the water lines and how DOTD Legal has taken the position that without an agreement, they don't have authority to pay for our water lines. In other words, it would be like an illegal donation if we gave money away. So, as I've said before, the parish president and I protested that when it came in, and DOTD's attorneys pushed back. I reviewed it, and I think legally, I think the law is pretty clear on that. The other agreements are two designing, what's called design exceptions. And one is basically to extend, I think it's called Railroad Street. They're going to cut off those two streets that cross the railroad to go over to, I don't know, what's that subdivision called? But anyway, so there'll only be one access point, and then they're trying to connect railroad to the other 2 points so that the folks who live in that part of the neighborhood can have access. The other issue is West X Street. DOTD, why it's called a design exception is because DOTD, you know, they work under a certain parameter, manual, et cetera. This is a parish road. Their manual calls for a lot more work to be done on that road, which I think would have an adverse impact on the residents on that road and the commercial businesses. So this is a design exception which wouldn't comport with their exacting standards, but would be sufficient for this project on this road. Now, one thing I will tell you is that Mr. Dugas has posited to DOTD that we actually think DOTD should take over responsibility for that road because we do expect increased traffic, et cetera. And so that's something that the DOTD attorneys are working on with the project managers, et cetera. So obviously, if we were to agree to that, we would move forward on this design exception. The other issue is lighting. There's a lighting agreement as part of this project. Several of the lights are going to be adjusted, removed. If you review in the agreement, DOTD is going to pay for that. Although obviously we'd be responsible for the maintenance and operation for that going forward. Those would be on, you know, what are and will remain parish roads. I've conveyed to DOTD that we would not be responsible for anything that was in there right away that was under the authority of plenary. You know, obviously they need to be responsible for that. So in a nutshell, that's what these agreements are about. And I think I've already told you what DOTD's position is related to the utilities.
Any questions from the council? The agreement on the lighting, was that the same agreement they made on the Empire Bridge? The lighting?
I can't answer that. I wasn't around for that agreement.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Rennie, have you been down that street lately?
You have to ask us.
I'm sorry, I'll direct it to you. Mr. Russell, that's your district, I believe. It is. Street X has got a major problem on it. You can't get through, it's unsafe. You've got about 4 businesses on the street, you only got 2 residential people on there, one of which has got his house up for sale now. The street needs to be a one-way street. I don't know what the state's proposing as far as the flow of traffic from it, but it's going to be underneath the bridge, and it's a major problem. And to give it to the state, well, it's a parish problem, is wrong. Somebody needs to look into the flow.
Thank you. Any other questions, comments? Yes, ma'am. Rail was for the port. Thank you. Any other comments? Machine's open. And it fails 3 yes, 5 no. One of y'all is going to do that one? Yeah, we'll do it. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Marcotte.
Yes, sir. Number D, a resolution granting conditional approval for a plan of subdivision of J. Circovich LLC Lot 8A, Section B, Belt Chase Plantation, Section 9, Township 14 South, Range 25 East, Southeastern Land District of Louisiana, west of the Mississippi River, Belt Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 8B, 8C, 8D, and 9E, Section B, Belt Chase Plantation, Belt Chase, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, is shown on the map of subdivision by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., Registered Land Surveyor, dated February 11, 2021, without cost to Plaquemines Parish government or the parish of Plaquemines.
Do I have an offer?
Offer.
Mr. Alborough offers that second. Mr. Dr. Gouy seconds. Comments from the council, administration, audience. Machines are open. Mr. Bartholomew? It passes 8-0.
F is being deferred at the request of Director Taylor. 9G, a resolution expressing Plaquemines Parish opposition to House Bill 535, which provides for a coastal exclusion zone, the prohibition of the taking of Manhattan in the exclusion zone, and the prohibition of the use of certain vessels and equipment in the exclusion zone, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
I'll offer as for a second. Second by Dr. Gouy. This is for CCA against bogey boats fishing offshore. It failed in the House this year, but they're bringing it back up, so we still gonna be against it. Yeah. I'll defer it. Withdraw it.
Withdrawing.
Yeah, the point is, it's going to be a different bill number next year.
Can we just amend it at the table here, just to pull out?
You don't know the bill number. It's not filed yet.
Just in exclusion to the, in opposition to the
We'll
exclusion.
bring it up
zone,
next
not
year.
necessarily tied to the bill.
We'll bring it up next year. H, Ms. Marcotte?
Non-H.
A resolution approving the request for a conditional use to Gun NOLA Oil Terminal LLC for a concrete pile fabrication plant and construction materials yard in a floodplain zoning district located on a certain tract of land designated as a southern portion of parcel number 1176225, Highway 23, Myrtle Grove, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, Section 10, Township 17 South, Range 25 East, all in accordance with the application number 2021-456, dated February 12th, 2021. Mr. Chairman, we do have a typo in the preamble.
Yes, ma'am.
The typo is the word gun that was added before NOLA Oil. It should just be for conditional use to NOLA Oil Terminal LLC.
Mr. LaFrance, you offer with that
So
change?
offered.
Mr. LaFrance offers, Mr. Roussel seconds. Any comments from the council, administration, audience? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
K, an ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund operating expenditure budget, city and ward, court, department, and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr.
And I
Bartholomew?
have a fill in the blank on this, Mr. Chairman.
Yes, ma'am, go ahead.
The fill in the blank is on line 9. We're appropriating the $9,500 from the general fund, unreserved, undesignated.
Mr. Bartholomew?
Offer with those changes.
Mr. Bartholomew offers a second.
Second.
Second by Mr. LaFrance.
What this does, give those justice of peace and the constable opportunity to meet their obligation, because they have to go to training to keep the position get certified with the election that they won. And that's what that's for. We had taken it out, and it needs to be put back in so they can attend the workshop to meet certification.
Thank you. Any other question? Council, administration, audience, machines open. It passes 8-0.
L, an ordinance to amend the 2021 general fund manpower structure and operating expenditure budget and otherwise provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Bartholomew, you offer?
I do.
Mr. Bartholomew offers, there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. LaFrance. Mr. Bartholomew?
Yes, this is the money that we have, the grant for taking the money out of the grant to hire the lifeguards for the day event pool. And that's the money already been appropriated, and it's going to use that money that's had been appropriated to put those kids in so they can operate the pool and have the pool open at day event.
Mr. LaFrance?
Are we gonna train them to wrestle alligators?
Well, I thought about it after what I saw, so we're going to get them who have the Tarzan experience and we can show them how to handle that. Because I know if we want to vitalize that alligator or put him on the grill.
Any other comments? Administration? Audience? Machines open? It passes 8-0.
Number 10, approval of the minutes from the June 10th, 2021 regular meeting.
Offer.
Mr. Bartholomew offers, Mr. Alborough seconds. Any questions? Machines open? And it passes 8-0.
11A, introduction of resolutions wherein suspension is being sought. We do have one under number 1. A resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to negotiate, execute, perfect, and enforce a favorable lease agreement with Haspel and Davis Milling and Planning for the continued use and operation of the Caledonia Park located along Highway 15 in Point Omaha and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
You offer, Mr. Bartholomew?
I do.
Mr. Bartholomew offers, there a second? Second by Mr. Blink. Voting on suspension. It passes 8-0.
A resolution authorizing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to negotiate, execute, perfect, and enforce a favorable lease agreement with Haspel and Davis Milling and Planning for the continued use and operation of the Caledonia Park located along Highway 15 in Point Omaha and otherwise to provide with respect thereto.
Mr. Bartholomew offers, there a second?
Second.
Second by Mr. Blink. Any questions from the council, administration, audience? Machines open. Passes 8-0.
B, District 9 update, Councilmember Konovich. Number 1, update and discussion on boat harbors. Do you want me to just read your whole list?
Yeah, you can.
Number 2, update and discussion on ferries. Number 3, discussion on lawnmowers. Number 4, update on hurricane readiness. Number 5, discussion on Venice dump. And number 6, discussion about garbage trucks.
On the boat harbors, I'd like to get with you and John Helmers to meet one day. And
Absolutely.
thank you. Ferries, did we ever, you said we hired a captain and an engineer for the new hours?
Yes, sir, we did have a captain and an engineer hired. We do not have deckhands. We're short 4 deckhands at this point. And I asked Civil Service for an update on it the other day. They told me that they hadn't had anyone qualify, and that's all the information I have from Civil Service.
And the new ramp, how long you looking at that?
For the Point Lahash ferry ramps?
Yes, sir.
They have not given me a time frame on when this thing is going to be designed. It is in the design phase right now. DOTD is handling that because we're using the grant money for the ferry grant money. So I do not have a time frame to date on when the design will be complete.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I had some conversation with them. It'll be about a year for them to get that design done, according to the DOTD, the one that's handling the contract for the ferry ramps. And kind of asked them to give us an update bi-monthly, keep us going, let us know what's happening with the project. And the reason why they're telling me it takes so long because of the fact that we're going in a new location, which they recommend that we do anyway. And it's just a slow process because of the virus that was out there. Everything just on the downscale. But they're trying their best to get it to expedite as much as quickly as possible. But I don't know how well that is, you know. But that's the status that they gave me from that department.
Thank you. Okay, lawnmowers. About a year ago, Dr. Gui had legislation to buy special lawnmowers to cut the levees. Do we know where those are at?
The only lawnmowers we have are the Bad Boys, 62-inch, 64-inch cut, and we have one 74-inch cut, which is the one you have.
This was legislation to buy special lawnmowers to do the steep levee, and I remember we passed it, but nobody knows what happened with the lawnmowers. We didn't buy them, or
We'll take a look back, but I don't know if there was funding in there. But it was to cut, there's certain levees that not all levees, just where they put the matting down and stuff. We'll go back and check that. We were trying to buy some with the LGAP money when that came through, but we ran out of funds there. But I don't think there was any money tied to the legislation.
Thank you. Mr. Blank?
Oh, sure. From what I remember, it was either 85,000 or closer to right around 100,000 for those lawnmowers.
Thank you. Hurricane readiness. Oh, we up on the sandbags and all, and
Yes, sir. Right before the last storm, we put together about 100 bags. We're going to start dispersing them to the couple areas, the Jump, Triumph, Highway 39, by the railroad track, and by Phillips 66 railroad track.
if we could get a tarp or something to cover them, because the ones that's in the Jump now are dry rotted, and
Right, we're going to try to get rid of the ones that are disrepair, get rid of the white cloth material bag, and then spread the sand, but we're going to work on that. Yes, sir.
thank you. Mr. Blank?
Mr. Congovich,
Yes, sir.
are you ready for hurricane season? Are you prepared?
I'm prepared.
Okay.
Sure, before
We'll be calling on you.
Yes, sir.
Before we move on from that, I mean, I've we're using a borrowed forklift, these sandbags to block a state highway. And is it possible to get with, I can't think of the nice lady's name that was here, that was, when we asked, hey, can you help us with this? She said that there actually might be some funding out there. It's a repeated closure. We have to make the closure sometimes 4 or 5 times a year down at the Venice Jump Basin Road. It would be nice if we could just lift the levee there or lift the road over the top of the levee. And is that possible through the FEMA administrator?
I will reach out. I'm a little confused. Who was the lady?
I forgot the young lady's name, but she came give a presentation on different hurricane.
Give me a contact and I'll
Certainly.
I'm not.
No, it wasn't Mrs. Kennedy. We'll figure it out.
Something with somebody from one of the representatives, the office, the senators, or the.
Y'all had to come here.
I think this person handles claims, FEMA claims.
The Rostan lady? From,
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, well, I'll reach out to some of our Rostan representatives.
Thank you. I mean, there's just a few closures that we could, maybe that could help pay for the southern closure at Jesuit Bend. Maybe we could do the closure down at the Venice Jump Road. Just make our own job easier.
Thank you. Venice Dump, have we DEQ? Are we straight with that now? Can we pick up tree debris and bring down there?
Not yet. We're still working on that, sir. We've been online class with them last week, and
Scott, can you pull the microphone?
we're still working with them on it. We talked with them last week. We're waiting for them to finalize everything. It just they have so many open since Zeta and before that they still trying to close out. I think they had 164 sites open, so it's taken a while.
Thank you. Garbage trucks. and I've seen two of them go up on a wrecker truck from down the road. The garbage trucks, do we know when they're gonna be fixed?
One was delivered back down there this evening by about 12:30, 1 o'clock from Freightliner.
Is that the one we rebuilt the engine on for 52,000?
It was some other sensors through the DEF system. The DEF, it's rough. It's hard to deal with, sir. But it was through the DEF, not the engine itself.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you.
11C, District 8 update, Councilmember Blink.
Yielded.
D, District 1 update, Councilmember Bartholomew.
I'd like to exclude 1 and 5. We can go with 2, 3, and 4.
Number 2, update on the Day Vance swimming pool lifeguards.
Mr. Bartholomew, the update that I got from Civil Service is that we've had one application for a lifeguard so far, and that is the update that was given to me by Civil Service.
Thank you.
Number 3, update on the air conditioner at the Day Vance Community Center.
I know we talked about it, I just want to let the people know what the status that's going on with the air conditioning.
So we have, the big unit in the main room is currently operating at 2/3 capacity, but it is expected to fail at any time this summer. There's another unit that handles the offices and the senior center that is currently not running, and the unit that takes care of the kitchen area is currently not running. I have our AC guy scheduled to go there next week to troubleshoot those two units to see what it is it will take to try to get those running at the same time. And I'll get with you, Mr. Bartholomew, and we'll make a decision on how to proceed after that.
And we haven't used the money that was appropriated yet, right?
No, sir, we have not.
And our intentions are to try to get this thing so where we can have it back on flow, on operation.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Number 4, update on Highway 15 overlay.
Highway 15 overlay is very near completion. There's a little bit of shoulder work that needs to be done and to touch up, and some painting that needs to be done, but the majority of the asphalt work has been completed.
So the highway that hasn't been touched, they're not going to resurface that at all.
No, sir, it was not in the scope of work.
Because that stuff is still bad down there. I mean, you got grass growing, you still have ruts in it, and everything else. So I understand what you're saying, but it's rough.
Yeah,
because they never. I know this administration had nothing to do with it, but the idea, the money was there to do that project, and they decided to take the money out of the project to do something else with it. But I never always was taught. And the perception was that you cannot take money from a project that hasn't been completed. So that don't mean anything. So you get 5 votes, you can do anything you want to do. That's all. Thank you.
11E, District 7 update.
Mine was answered during the updates.
Number 5, District F, District 5 update.
I think he had all his answered too.
G, District 6 update.
I have one thing, Kirk. Going back to the alligators, and we've having issues evidently in our rural areas from the base on down. I don't know if Belle Chase is having any issues with the gators. Is there any way you can put on the website, have Jade put on the website who a constituent can contact if there's any issues with gators or snakes? Because evidently with all the rain and the high grass, we're having those issues. So is there any way you can put something on a parish website to direct it to constituents?
Yeah, I'll check with Jade and see if there's any kind of go-to spot.
I know the Wildlife and Fisheries, it was Dylan Becknell and call it Becknellville, but that's where he lives.
Generally, people call the sheriff's office.
Right.
You know, but I mean, I don't, right, we don't have a technical department that can really handle that.
Right.
I just, Wildlife and Fisheries says they're not coming.
But they have a person, he could come get them and relocate them, or
Right.
if he has to, he could kill them.
So look, we could put something out there and direct them to somebody who might want to, have their phone number on the website.
I'll talk to him.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
H, discussion on Scarsdale and Pointe-a-la-Hache ferries and schedule of operations. Councilmember Bartholomew.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, we have several phone calls over the last couple of weeks about the schedule. When will the schedule change to reflect that we can extend hours to the ferry situation? If not, understand what's the problem. I mean, we know what the problem is, but let them know.
Yes, sir. If we can get some deckhands hired, we can certainly extend the schedule. But we cannot do it with the personnel that we have now.
And how many deckhands we need?
4.
4.
Yes, sir.
So we don't have nobody applying, right?
I had one
According to
person-
civil service.
I had one person call me last week and say that he tested, but apparently he did not qualify because civil service told me that we had no one that qualified.
There's a difference of applying and qualifying. So.
Yeah, I understand all that, but I'm just saying the reason why is because we don't have deckhand personnel. So until we do that, there's nothing we can do. I'm assuming.
That's correct, sir.
Okay, so you're just waiting on deckhand. Y'all hire council members part-time deckhand services? I mean, I don't mind doing that.
They didn't have a PhD.
Hey, now.
Well, I don't know. Just some concern, because the people still are concerned about them being able to get to work without burning all that gas and stuff going around,
Mr. Bartholomew, just so you know, I did go to attend the Civil Service Board meeting. We did request that they change the entrance rate and start them at a step 15 to try to attract deckhands to apply for jobs. We did ask that they take out that a high school diploma or GED was required and change that wording to recommended. And the Civil Service Board did agree to those changes. So we are actively trying to do what we can to try to get some deckhands.
And they have to take a test, right?
They do have to
A
take a
basic
test,
test?
yes, sir.
Should give them a rope and see if they could throw it on the bit. That's the test.
Well,
that would be
yeah,
a good test.
I know you have some of them guys that be working on the boots all their life, Thank you.
For folks at home, what is the entry rate for deckhands?
I don't remember offhand, Mr. Blink. I can look it up and get that information for you. It should be listed on our website.
I think we're going to struggle to find folks until we get it to around $15 an hour. That seems to be a fair wage.
We're well below $15 an hour.
We need to figure it out.
Yep.
Next.
I, status of the Ladder and Bloom contract and the marketing of parish property. Councilmember Roussel.
Mr. Roussel?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Epley, for responding on that proposal for the Popich building. I'm going to introduce something, I did introduce something today to address that. However, I'm hoping that the bill or the report doesn't come back to where we interpret that to be unfeasible to repair. Yes, elaborate? There was, I'll let him.
Yeah, so we had a conversation with Paul Richard yesterday. He mentioned that he had spoken with you. His recommendation was to get the analysis of the building up to date, to make sure that we don't have any major repairs that are coming up in the future before we put a tenant in there and sign a lease with the tenant to say that we're going to lease this property to you, and then we have a major failure, and then we're in violation of the lease.
Right, and I agree, because the air conditioner is not working properly in there. We got rooms that are hot and cold and so forth. So, good. However, moving along, do we have any other opportunities for Ladder and Bloom or Paul Richard to market Port Eads or any other projects?
Yes, he has had conversation with Jacques Cousteau. We do have at least 3 people who are interested in Port Eads at this time. He is providing information to them from Jacques Cousteau on the operation of the facility And hopefully soon, we'll be able to do an RFP or something with those people to try to get an operator in that facility.
Okay, and while we're on buildings, I got a special request. Would you change the faucet heads in the bathroom because you can't wash your hands? It'll spray everything all over you. Here,
Yeah,
second. Anybody else?
I agree with you 100%, Mr. Roussel. Those things are terrible.
Please change them. Thank you.
Mr. Burris, on property sales, did anything come about with the lady that's been contacting the both of us and other properties I had talked to you about?
I have not heard from her. I think the last I recall is I've asked Dana to reach out to her. I'll follow up with her tomorrow and see what, if any, response we've had.
And that they had 2 properties.
I sent Ms. Buford. The information. I mean, I wish we would have known this was a problem before. She's now concerned about zoning. So, and this is why I'm working on. I'm hoping to work on an ordinance where those costs are put up front before we move forward on projects like that, because we end up expending money.
What's the problem with zoning? It's next to a sewage plant.
She had concerns about zoning, so I don't know. She asked for a copy of the thing. We sent her, and it was like they didn't want to move forward with the transaction because they were concerned about zoning. Well, zoning is something that probably should have been addressed before we went through this whole process and expended money on the appraisal, et cetera. So, I'm working on that. I owe Mr. Arborough an abatement ordinance that I keep getting distracted from. This is another one of my projects. Also, dealing with adjudicated properties. We had a productive meeting with the assessor and with the sheriff's office, and we're going to try to move forward on that. But unfortunately, some of these things take time, and I keep getting pulled away on various things. So I'm going to keep stabbing away at it.
Thanks. Mr. Blink?
Yeah, sure. Before we move on from Port Eads, before some of these major things are hashed out, we just want to avoid a situation where we had last time where we just couldn't work it out, and it might be favorable to just come to the board earlier on with that. Those details.
We will certainly bring all of that to you guys.
Thank you.
Thank y'all.
And your question about deckhands, it's $12.16 an hour.
It's pretty close.
Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Hold 1 second. Excuse me. Well, y'all ready to roll, huh?
You gotta catch a ferry, like you.
Are you leaving Belchase?
You got till 7 o'clock.
Are you leaving Belchase?
I just want to thank Ms. John Hellman, the director, for the outstanding job you did with the back levee culverts. That's going to finally, we got the money coming in, and that has put us back in the federal system once that's completed. So it's been a long time. So I want to thank y'all very much for the effort getting that job done.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Arborough, second by Mr. Bartholomew. Machines open.
All right.
And it passes 7.
Y'all was able to finish the meeting.
Mr. LaFrance was out. Yes, ma'am. Meeting is adjourned at 5:56.